Okay, so big surprise this morning, Kelvin. So you had no idea about this, right?
No, I didn't. Well, I knew something was coming, but I didn't realize it was this big.
So I saw some tweets, I think last night when I was just doing some research for the show today, and yeah, this came up for me, and I thought, oh, it's actually on tonight, and I was like sort of looking at the time, trying to work out what time it might have been. I thought maybe it's going to be 9 o'clock in the morning for us, something like that. It turned out it was like 5 minutes. Like when I was researching it, it was like 5 minutes away. So I was like, okay, might as well check it out at 1 o'clock in the morning. So, amazing announcement. Let's just start by saying that.
So you stayed up for another keynote. I think we need to put that. So you've done the Grand Slam of keynotes. Which is respect, by the way. So yeah, I think before we start the show, I watched it. And I was very impressed. And I thought we might put that out there to sort of give you a perspective of what we're about to say here. Microsoft have really pulled everything out. Like they're throwing the kitchen sink at their own OEMs. They're throwing the kitchen sink at Apple and Google and everyone else.
Yeah, so, and we might sort of chat about what this all means for the whole industry and the way people are going to work and think about Microsoft. But in terms of the announcements, there were a series of them. This was, I guess the tagline for this was Windows 10 devices. That was the hashtag as well. So the first thing was Xbox One, Xbone. So it's a bit of a rehash of the previous things that were announced, but they quickly sort of went through the Elite controller, how you could get Windows 10 on your Xbox, as well as being able to play Xbox on your Windows 10 PC. And the big sort of gaming feature for them is Halo 5, which is out December-ish, I believe.
Just for Christmas.
That's right. The next thing was this amazing HoloLens demo. And we've seen a couple of demos already, but this one was to demonstrate Project Xray, which is a game you can play in the comfort of your own lounge room, possibly in a few years' time. But the way you can sort of imagine it is like it's a shoot 'em up sort of thing. They used wearable holograms.
Yes.
So yeah, it was a bit of a the way they set it up was like you don't get to see the person's point of view, but there was a separate camera, like a red camera that had the full field of vision of that environment in the mixed reality world. And so this guy who was wearing the HoloLens on his head, he was holding this sort of stick in his hand as well, and through the red camera, like his hand would suddenly have this glove.
So it's similar to the Oculus controller I think we spoke of last week, and it's worth mentioning what a red camera is as well. So red is probably the most advanced camera you can
cinema grade,
buy. So it's cinema grade type camera. The only reason why I know this is because Marquez Brownlee on YouTube has one, and he spoke about it quite in depth.
Oh, is that what he uses?
Yeah, he uses red, exactly, to do his YouTube. So he did it for the 4K perspective, but we won't go into that too much.
Yeah.
I think us talking about this will not do this Project Xray any justice. So we're gonna just go into the show notes and check this out.
Yeah.
It's pretty much what you imagined VR/AR to be, now available, basically. So what it was showing was, using furniture and using the walls in your room, and the technology knows where these things are to give you an environment that suits your living room, basically. It's unique to you, so you could have things coming out of your couch, but if my couch is behind me, whereas Jeff's house, it could be on the left, it just knows how to use the furniture to simulate a gaming environment. So it's like nothing else you've ever seen.
So in January, when this was showcased, they kind of like hinted that it was going to be available this year, but that's not the case. No. So they announced that for $3,000, developers can get their dev kit. So this is a very, very beta version, and that's not going to be available until Q1 next year. For $3,000. So who knows when this is going to be out to the consumers.
And my prediction is, even for the developers, this is going to be quite a limited release. I think you really got to sell it to Microsoft in terms of who you are and what you intend to do with the tech, because I think they want to control it just like Apple has. And as we go through these announcements, you'll find that Microsoft is becoming more and more like an Apple.
The next one we'll just talk about very quickly. It's the new version of the Microsoft Band, which is the fitness band. So not quite a smartwatch, I don't think you can say, but it's a fitness band category. A very high-end one at that. And they've announced that they've got a couple of new sensors, like built-in GPS, UV monitoring, which we're not quite sure how that's going to be used, a barometer to pick up your altitude in real time, and also your VO2 max sensor, which is your maximum volume of oxygen input, right?
Yeah.
Or output. Also, the other cool thing was it's got a golf shot auto detect.
Yeah.
So through the gyro and accelerometer, it picks out if you're swinging a golf club.
Yeah.
And also picks out if it's a practice swing or not.
Just don't know how it does that, but
yeah.
So it's very obvious if you're going after golf players and VO2 max athletes, this is always going to be a high-end device. So it's targeting the enthusiasts within a lot of us. So it's going for $249 USD, available at the end of October.
Yep. It's also Cortana enabled, so we're not quite sure how it's going to be connecting to the internet, but you would assume that you need a phone with it. Which phone, we're not sure yet. Yeah. Speaking of that, the Lumia 950 family was also announced, this time by a guy called Panos Panay, and we're going to sort of really, I don't know, deconstruct the way he presented, because he was the star of the show.
Yeah, no, easily.
He was I don't know, he's the Craig Federighi of Microsoft. He's got a bit of swagger about him.
Yeah,
I sort of liken him to Steve Jobs in the way he's so confident,
personality. He's got sass.
Definitely not boring.
No, definitely not boring. This whole thing wasn't boring, really. It was really. I mean, on the level of keynotes, this is actually really good. Yeah.
So the two new Lumia phones, 950 and 950 XL. No mention of Nokia. This is purely Microsoft. They'll be using octa-core and hexa-core processors, adaptive antennas, liquid cooling tech.
Yeah.
So you might have to explain a bit about that.
Yeah.
Because I can't.
So basically, the only reason I know a little bit about liquid cooling is because in high school I used to build my own computers, and I still do it now. So fans can only do so much. So in the computing world, if you run a high-end PC, what you can do is run liquid or even coolant.
Sort of coolant?
It is a coolant. It can be green, it can be blue, and it goes through all your components. But you need a fan to basically cool the coolant for it to as it goes around the system. So I'm really quite interested to see how it does it for a phone, considering there's no fan in there.
Well, there could be.
I don't know.
Okay.
It could be maybe it's connected to because the phone's made of metal. It could be using the phone as a radiator to cool the liquid.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's still impressive tech.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Very impressive tech.
Yeah. And the way Panos sold this was like bringing Windows 10 to life in your pocket, which is I think the problem with Windows phones is that you don't for the consumer, everyday consumer, it's like, well, it's an alternative to iOS or it's an alternative to Android. Why would I get a Windows phone? But they're selling it as if now this is a companion to all your other Windows 10 devices, right? Which is a perfect way to market this.
Yeah, because there is no other differentiator. I mean, you would go for iOS because you like Apple and you like the premium feel of it. You go Android if you want a choice in hardware.
Yeah. And it's all kind of making sense now. The January Windows 10 event that talked about the way everything kind of converges together depending on whatever sort of device you're using. So this is all coming together. The Continuum demo with by I can't remember his name, but the guy in the hat, the purple hat,
the guy in the hat.
He's I don't know, he's an infomercial, kind of has a weird sort of Christopher Walken accent.
Yeah, that's just imagine Christopher Walken telling you to buy a phone.
Yeah, but his demo was amazing. Like he connected one of the phones, probably the high-end one, 950 XL, to like a screen, like a display. I don't know, maybe 18-inch display.
Yeah. So I think the trick here is the USB-C connector it comes with. So there's a little dongle you connect to USB-C. So we've spoken about USB-C in the past with the new MacBook, and one of the things it does really well is connectivity. So you can actually daisy chain things on USB-C because it has enough power to power through these things. So with this one, you can power a little hub that powers a screen, a mouse, and a keyboard.
Yeah.
Which is really impressive stuff. I know you were really impressed by this. Could be the one work device that we need.
Yeah, so maybe not this generation, but maybe 2 or 3 generations from now, you could totally see in the workplace, in the enterprise, just have, because you go to meetings, you see people. It's I mean, we both work in a very what's the word for
advanced
hot desking?
Yeah, we hot desk a lot. We move around a lot.
Exactly.
There's Wi-Fi connectivity. And we basically use keyboards, desks, and mice and screens that are on a desk. You just basically dock in.
Yeah. So you can replace your laptop with this phone, and then you can do all your like PC things, like using Outlook, using Office, the Office suite, and it all sort of scales like from the phone, powered by the phone, and you can use the phone and the display at the same time.
Yeah.
The other thing that was really cool was so on the phone, like you got your the live tiles. So once you hook it up to the display, the start button actually becomes the live tiles.
Yeah.
So this is just crazily awesome.
Yeah, so basically when you connect your phone to this dock, it recognizes that you want to go into desktop mode. And I don't know how it does this, but your phone still is a phone, but on the screen, it's Windows 10.
Exactly, yeah.
So I have Windows 10 on 2 computers at home, and I was telling Geoff before this, like, it's fine. You know, it's a really good system. It's easy to understand.
And you're saying there was an Android thing that tried to do this in the past?
Yeah, so in the past, there are like the Transformer by Asus.
Right.
So basically you could just plug in a mini HDMI, but it never recognized it as a desktop. It just took the phone and just chucked it on a screen.
Right.
There was no productivity play like this. So this is really impressive stuff.
It is, yeah. And you could do like all your keyboard shortcuts like you would on a PC or a laptop. Control C, Control V. Imagine doing that to some document that you have on your phone being powered by the phone only. So that's like, I don't know if you get the concept, but that's really, really cool.
Yeah. So just replace your laptop with a phone, and that's what it is. I like it how they also, you know, showed the example of, I got an email, there was an attachment, I double clicked on it, I did some stuff, I copied it, I used PowerPoint. So it's day-to-day stuff.
Yeah. And on the dock, you could connect a SD card.
Yes.
So some agencies giving you some creative files, and you can just attach it to the PowerPoint or some, you know, even Photoshop, I guess.
So there is no almost no difference between using your phone now to work than a desktop computer or a laptop. If it's pretty light, I would say, but don't worry, Microsoft's got you covered there if you want to move on to the next level of power to do your work.
Yes, so I think you're trying to say Surface Pro 4.
In a very long-winded way.
Yes. First off, they sort of said it's now worth $3.5 billion to Microsoft. They've gone from 0 to 3.5 billion in a matter of 3 years, which is pretty cool. Like, I think people mocked the Pro Surface
when it first came out.
But yeah, this is going gangbusters right now. We're a little bit jealous of the guys that are getting the Surface Pros at work, actually.
Yeah, I want one.
They did the Thunderstruck ad.
AC/DC. There's nothing like a little AC/DC.
Yeah, and they mentioned, you know, the competitors are chasing it now. Like,
which is kind of true when you think about it. They actually created a new category, and who would have thought Microsoft could pull something off? They created the tablet, attachable keyboard, laptop, pen category.
Yes. That's the one.
Yeah, that's the one.
So the Surface Pro 4, it's the thinnest one yet, of course. It's 8.4 millimeters, gone from 9.1 for the Pro 3. The size of the screen has increased, but the actual tablet or the Surface hasn't increased. Just the bezels have gone smaller. 267 ppi, which apparently makes the pictures look real, inverted commas.
Quote unquote.
Yeah. It's using a new thing called Pixel Sense technology, which is a 0.4 mil glass. So like it makes the screen really pop, I think. And I'd love to, you know, get my hands on this. When is the Microsoft store opening, actually?
I don't know. It's meant to be in Chatswood, right?
I thought Pitt Street Mall. Definitely. Maybe Chatswood as well.
Yeah. I know. I saw one in Vegas. It was okay.
Yeah. So apparently there's one opening this weekend in New York.
Wow.
And
just in time.
Yeah, just in time for this. So I hope maybe the timing will be similar.
Yeah.
It comes with a Surface Pen, which has a tail eraser at the end of it, which is kind of like my what is this? The pencil.
Yes, that you bought.
The 53 pencil, which I hardly use now. That's okay. It's got 1024 levels of pressure sensing. All-year battery, so you only have to charge it once a year. And you can click the pen to open OneNote.
Yeah, so this is the ultimate OneNote device.
It is, yeah.
I think OneNote is pretty good. So we spoke about Evernote last week as well as Google Keep coming online. But if you have access to OneNote, I hear it's pretty good.
Yeah, and this is the ultimate sort of productivity device, isn't it? So I could totally see myself like using this at work if I did have one. It's 30% faster than the Surface Pro 3, 50% faster than the MacBook Air, with a 16 gig RAM and 1 terabyte. I think up to was, I think that's the maximum, right?
I mean, considering that the biggest iPad you can get is what, 256? This is 5 times as much, no, 4 times as much as which is, it says something. I mean, considering that, you know, memory is so cheap, I'm really glad they went down the 1 terabyte route.
Yep, and I think that's the maximum. So it's starting at the $899 US price point, which means at 1 terabyte, you'd probably thinking like a lot more than that. Available at the end of the month, 26th of October.
Yep.
They didn't say like whether it's US only or not, but hoping that's available everywhere.
Yeah, and I also think it's worth talking about the new type cover.
Right.
So it's got new functionality, and they like to brag this thing that they've been doing keyboards for a while now. It's got a new fingerprint reader, which I thought was really impressive, and the usual set of colors that you can buy.
Yeah, and it's a more sort of laptop-like experience in that the keys are kind of more separated, not so plasticky like the Pro 3.
Yeah, and the pen now attaches to the side of
so if you have it, if you're holding it like portrait, it sort of goes to the top like a magnet.
Yep.
So it looks like a clipboard.
You know what I mean? Now I get it. Sorry, it took me a while to get there. But yeah, no, it's a really impressive device. I've seen this Surface Pro in action, and I'm really impressed.
Yeah. So do you think people are more likely to lose this because of the way it attaches to the side?
Yeah.
You maybe just like fling it in your bag, and maybe
the pen might drop out.
Well, the pen might just be stuck in your bag, I suppose.
But, we'll see. We'll see. But it's better than a string attached to it, right? So definitely a lot of good improvements here, and they've obviously not shy about bringing down Apple.
Yeah, and was that the last thing?
No, apparently there's one more thing. Who wants to see more hardware?
Yes.
So
they invented another category.
Yes.
So the Surface actually is replacing the laptop, but what did they do? This is a Surface to become a new laptop.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense? No, it doesn't. So this is a Surface Book to compete with the MacBook Pros.
Yeah.
So it looks like a laptop with a classic sort of bendy hinge on the side. What did they calling it? They're calling it the fulcrum
hinge. The dynamic fulcrum hinge.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, that thing.
So it's, I don't know, if you look at it from the side, it's got this sort of like snake-like nature to it.
I'm trying to think of what we can compare it to. Just think of it as little connectors all hooked up and just folding in little sections.
Yeah, so it doesn't fold all the way because of that sort of bendy nature to it.
Yeah.
So that on the hinge side, it doesn't sort of close all the way. So you'll see a little gap.
Yeah.
I think like I'll be a little bit annoyed with that, but you sort of understand why later, why they did that.
We'll quickly go through a few more things.
Yes, so Surface Book, so 13.5 inch diagonal, 267 ppi, which is the same as the Surface Pro 4.
Yep.
Also using the Pixel Sense. The trackpad is made of glass. It's using the GDDRS memory. Do you know what that is?
DDR5.
Oh, yes, I'm going blind.
Yeah, DDR.
And NVIDIA GeForce GPU.
Yeah. So the way, even before they announce the price, that you look at the spec, they're targeting the high end of the market. So the way they're doing it now is the Surface Pro will be for everyone else, and the Surface Book is for the power users. So we're talking about the architects, the gamers, and the producers. That's
right. We got a little bit of a demo of its processing power as well. Like I think it was doing some real time rendering in the Adobe
Premiere. So lots of video rendering, which is what would really push your computer to the absolute brink of the limit. So they're calling it the fastest laptop ever made. I think they really need to stop using these monikers because it will always be the fastest thing you've ever made because it is the latest.
How about the first laptop you've ever made? Which is actually true.
Yeah, which is actually true. I don't know why they didn't go with it. Or maybe it wasn't. So it's got a 12-hour battery life, and it's twice faster. It's 2 times faster than the MacBook Pro, which is intense. It's probably got the latest Intel processors, the latest NVIDIA mobile GPU.
Skylake?
Skylake. It's going to be available for $14.99 USD on the same date as the Surface Pro. But Geoff, is there more?
There is more. So it transforms, Kelvin.
Yes.
So right at the end of this presentation, Panos, he actually revealed that the screen actually comes off. The hinge.
Everyone went crazy.
And it was totally unexpected, which, I mean, like, if you think about it, like, it makes total sense. But what I really like about this is that some of the GPU, or all of the GPU, is actually in the base or the keyboard part of this device. So you can still walk away without the base and still use a tablet-like nature. But if you want that sort of awesome graphics in games, you couldn't touch it. You could also spin it around and bend it back. So it's like a traditional sort of like tablet transformer. So yeah, God, I want this.
I want this. So think about this. I went to the US. I brought my MacBook Air and my Android tablet because I wanted to watch movies and read the news on the plane, but I knew that the MacBook Air wouldn't have enough power for that long trip, so I had two devices with me. So this will replace both of them, and because it's so powerful, it'll probably replace my desktop at home as well. Yeah. So this kills all my devices.
Yes. Yeah, so we were like, I think I was literally clapping at the end of this. And I know you were just then. Well.
I know. So yeah, no, it's a very impressive technology. This will go head up against the Mac. Sorry, not the Mac, the iPad Pro, which you wanted to get really bad. So this is testament to how good it is.
Decision to make. Yeah. I'm sort of thinking like this is the first generation. This is the first laptop ever made. So I don't know. Should I trust it?
Yeah.
You can't really say Microsoft have a bad track record because they've got no track record. So yeah, it's a hard one. I think it'll actually help with the production of the podcast as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Compared to the iPad Pro.
Yeah, definitely. So, because the reason why I bought the MacBook Air was also to do that quick recording as well and do all that cutting with Audacity. Yeah. So this would easily do that.
So do you think? I mean, I don't have a Windows 10 device. Do you think it could still work? Despite the fact that I'm with Apple and the Mac OS and iOS,
definitely, because you use Windows at work, so it's not too.
So I can still use the Google services.
Yeah, definitely. So everything ties together. I think the operating system will mean very little to a lot of people now, considering that a lot of apps and programs are shared across different operating systems. I don't think we use anything that is solely wedded to one OS. Yeah, I think iMovie, you have Movie Maker in Microsoft.
Yeah, it's less of a factor these days, I think. Yeah.
So the other thing to consider is because the graphics processor unit is in the keyboard, your battery life for your tablet is going to last a lot longer because that's one of the main sort of drains on your battery life. Yeah. So very impressive stuff. It's also got the pen. So similar pen to the Surface Pro 4.
Well, we're not sure if it comes with the pen or you have to buy separately. Probably separately.
Probably, maybe, yeah. But no, very impressive. It's like getting the iPad Pro and a MacBook Pro all in one. So it definitely is a better buy at this stage.
So $14.99 US, that probably translate to at least 2K.
I'd say 2.5
Australian. 2.5?
I would. I'm saying it's 2.5. Considering that most ultrabooks now are already at 2.2K.
Yeah, if it's 2.5, I'm not sure actually.
Yeah, 2.5K. So we'll see. I mean, when it does come here in, I'm guessing early November, at the end of October, we'll come back to this and we'll see what we know about it then.
Yeah, but just some final thoughts about this, Kelvin. So what does this all mean for everyone? Yeah. So I'm thinking Microsoft is cool again. Yeah. Officially. I think we sort of got that sense early in the year, but like now they're the underdogs. Like everyone's pulling for them, I feel. Apple is the incumbent, and I don't know, like I could definitely see a day where I go full Microsoft again.
How crazy is that, huh?
It is crazy, yeah.
I mean, they have the enterprise side of the world all hooked up. So I mean, now all we need to do is take that the people who go to work who use Microsoft operating systems and tools to want to be able to use this at home. So they started that with Xbox, and then slowly they want to introduce the Surface, and then now the Surface Book, which is a silly name, by the way.
And I think they had to go through the pain of Windows 8 and some of the other deals with Nokia to just figure this out. I think for themselves. And, they just got sick of waiting for, their partners to build Windows devices. Yeah. And so like, screw you guys. And we're just going to try our own thing. I mean, they've got the know-how. They've got the engineers. They've got the marketing.
They got the money.
Yeah.
And I like what you said here in the notes that this is now Satya's Microsoft.
Oh, yeah. So he's, Could this have happened under Steve Ballmer?
I don't know. I think for Steve, he was old school. He kept it running. He may have set it up for Satya, but Satya's experience is very different to Bill and Ballmer's. So who would have known? The other big thing is if I was Acer, Asus, IBM, HP, I would be very worried now because Microsoft is now making their own equipment. They've gone all Apple, basically. I think they've understood that they have controlled the hardware and the software. They're going to be able to create a better product, a better brand.
Yeah, so you were saying that you think Apple has won now because of this. Was that you? Maybe someone else?
Yeah, Apple has won. Yeah. I mean, in terms of figuring out what
philosophy,
the philosophy they've won. Whether they can go up against Microsoft now is very, very interesting. The one thing that Microsoft doesn't have at the moment is a mobile device / ecosystem that will challenge Android or iOS at this stage. But I don't see why they couldn't get there with Continuum now. So Continuum, you know, we spoke about it really quickly, but they want to start an ecosystem where their apps can work across all their devices. I feel like spending some money.
Yeah, and thanks for those who've been recommending stories, and we've been taking notice. So keep that going. You could do that again through Twitter on @TheLazyCouch, also TheLazyCouchPodcast@gmail.com, or our personal email addresses, which we probably won't share here. But if you know them, you can do that as well. You can find us on Facebook. We're sharing some great content on Facebook.
Yeah, I know. You definitely want to like us and follow that.
Yeah, and tell your friends too to do the same. We're also on Instagram, so search for us there. The website is thelazycouch.com. Please rate us on iTunes and spread the word. And there's this new podcast.com that you started.
Yes, so it's a good directory. It's introducing other podcasters as well. So you can also find us on podcast.com. But we're also now on YouTube. So if you're listening now on YouTube, don't forget to like this video or subscribe to us. So let us know what you think and what else you want to see on YouTube.
Great. And Geoff out.
Yeah, Kelv out.